this left-handed. I can do it right-handed if we really need. But we're going to go, for me it's going to be left on left, right? For right-handed people it's going to be right on right. We're going to stand with our ankles crossed, right here, right? Now, we're going to bring ourselves in. So, me as Tori, I'm going to bring myself in. I'm going to pull my hands to me, lean away, and crossing the ankles, in, lean, throw. This hand is on the sleeve, right? When I bring it in, I'm bringing this like pinky out. We're gripping along this bottom seam of the gi here, right? And I'm going to tuck my thumb in and bring the pinky out. And this hand that's on the collar, as I come in, it's going to go up and then in, right? So this one's coming at like this upward trajectory. So you see this hand comes up first. This one just goes at this diagonal, up and in. And it kind of like loops into place, right? Locks in. Yeah? Questions? No?
Can you like show it out looking this way?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, all right, take some falls. Tuck your chin, slap the mat, exhale on the way down. Be a good partner, don't drop them, keep your grips. Pull up if possible. Try not to just bury them, right? Because then it's their turn, right? So they get a turn too, right? Be nice to your partner so they're nice to you. Longevity, okay? Yeah? 1, 2. Hooking in, I'm just placing behind, right? So with my partner, this foot right here, it's not intertwined where I'm like on the ball of my foot. My heel is resting on the ground without applying too much pressure to his leg. So I'm not like, oh, it has to be ankle to ankle, right? It can't be like this calf to calf, right? We're just like making a low X with our legs, right? And then we're stepping in and pulling. Any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was moved and then I landed on my elbow. Then I moved and I landed on the other leg.
You landed them on.
Very safety measures.
Yeah, as you are throwing, rather than like throwing him into yourself, like just place him like down straight behind himself, right? So when I throw, like I'm going to place him right there, right? I'm not going to continue like throwing here into myself, which is like much more circular rather than this up and back, right? So we're going up, 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 lean away, back. So they should like fall directly behind themselves, maybe like a little bit ankle towards me as I'm like pulling them in, but I'm not like circling them down, right? I'm not planting and pushing them like this. That is actually where we're gonna see like the most knee injuries with this, is like if we just plant the leg and we push, right? Because if he just falls or sits down, he's going to sit on my knee, right? And if I just like force this here, I could sit on his knee, right? Rather than coming in here and then like lifting here and clearing his feet. Anytime the feet are clear of the mat, the knees are safe, right? Like I said, like if I put my leg in the center, I'm making sure that I can make it light. Because if he sits down, I have to retract, right? But yeah. Any other questions? Was that good? No? Sideways, like hip to hip. Right. So we're clearing here, and then my hip is like directly next to his hip. I'm not trying to slide myself behind. This is a very difficult place to like get to your partner, right? Like to be able to come here and like make them do like this backflip here. It's just like, it's a very difficult position to actually attain during sparring. But like something like this, right? This is a little bit easier, right? If I was to come a hook and a step and a throw. That's like a variation I call like a goon step Osotogari. It's the traditional Osotogari performed in a reverse order. So rather than right step out, left hook, you go left foot, right foot, throw. It's extremely powerful. It's something that I use all the time. But it's same mechanics, hip to hip. Any other questions? Yes.
If you're taller than your partner, are you dropping to the same hip level to load them up?
No, you're just loading them lower on your leg.
Lower them lower on the leg, yeah, you don't have to be hip to hip.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
specific.
I'm like thinking about like the hips are making contact, but like I'm thinking about upper thigh actually. Like I like want to load on the upper thigh more than anything. Right? Other questions? No? Okay, we're gonna add an element to this drill, and this is like a really interesting element to add. I really like it for many different reasons, but it's going to be, guess again, a circle, right? So back to our circle thing. They're going to, so like I'm going to take a small step forward like this, and they will mirror me, right? And we kind of just plod along like this, right? And then as he's circling to my back, I'm executing the throw. So I'm going to take a step, and as he goes to step, I'm throwing. Right? So I start the chain by taking my step first. Right? And just like kind of plod along here. Nice and easy. This should actually make the drill slightly easier because their movement will like off balance them. They're like now a moving target trying to like secure stable footing in a new position. So it should be a little bit easier to throw them because they're technically on one leg when we're performing this. Any questions?
You want to catch them in the transition as they're stepping. Just time it.
Yes, yeah. So you can like plod along as long as you want. Like I don't care how many steps you take to like feel comfortable in this. You could just lift them a little bit. If you guys are getting tired of throwing each other, like just lift. Try and get that lift. Focus on that lift. Rather than like if you are like continuously like pushing them down to try to execute the throw, focus less on executing the throw and like more about being able to clear your partner's feet from the ground, right? Like if you can't like achieve objective A, we're going to objective B, which is just lift them up, right? In this very particular way. Any other questions? No? Cool. Let's give it a try. 1, 2. That doesn't weigh over 200 pounds. Yeah, thank you. So, I'm plotting along, you plotting along.
You should have cycled out, I didn't want to whole cycles.
Oh.
Let's do that again.
Want to do it again?
Yeah.
You want to fight back?
Okay. So I was telling some groups that this is not an easy concept to get, and this is a drill that takes a lot of practice. Osotogari, like very commonly shown very early in people's career, right? A lot of people know it by name. I like to say it's the first throw you're taught, but the last one you master. If you have a good Osotogari, you can use it in Olympic finals. It's like one of those throws that is timeless, and it really shows someone's like pure class as like a throwing person. So like this principle of being able to like load, lean away, get proper kazushi with the hands, right? And execute the technique is like, it's really like beautiful when it's done very well, and it's something that does not come easily. So just keep with these drills. It's not something that's going to like happen overnight, but it's something that will improve all of your throwing techniques, right? So this, right, is like used for Uchimata, right? Step in, come in, lean away, and then we're lifting with that like same sideways part of the leg. We place it a little bit more behind for this one, but it's that same like principle of like up, in with the hands and over, right? It's like the same thing for like a Harai Goshi. All of these are like how to load them properly and throw them over, right? So learning how to like lean away with your head to like bring them on top of you, right? And load so we can throw, okay? Who here knows Uchimata? Yeah. One, okay, Harai Goshi. Two, Osotogari. Two, okay. So, all these throws are like very similar and can be used all together. The throw that I want to like focus on for like the second part is going to be Uchimata. It's often like known as like the king of throws. So for this one, we're going to have our partner, and they're going to get like outside ties, right? So they're going to like make this as easy for us as possible, right? Square stance. We're going to step across, step behind, load the hands, and then load on the outside of this right here. Questions?
Yeah, see, I mean,
A few more times.
sorry.
It sounds nice, right? It's not like a hard, crazy hard ball. Across, behind, right? Face the same direction, turning the toe, the foot, leaning away, making that contact. If you just try to lift them up there, like that's good. Just get nice, tight, close lift. Throw them over. Yeah, this collar grip is here. I bring this pinky in, and I curl this hand towards me, like making a very strong wrist. Strong wrist is like super essential for this technique. Like if you have a weak wrist and you try to lift someone like this, you're like pretty much like wrist locking yourself. So having like this like hammer curl position with this collar grip, where we're like setting this down and like almost like we're like setting our like hammer right on their chest. And driving over the top to finish. I aim here. So, like a lot of the times I teach to hit here because when you do Uchimata, like, or in judo in general, you don't, or like takedowns, throwing, when someone has their collar hand on, you do not want to circle into it, right? You don't want to walk into someone's power. right? That's winding up the technique, right? He wants to move away from the power. So I'm chasing it, right? So like if I go for it, he can like step out and he's out of danger. If he continuously walks into me, right, I barely have to move. He's trying to increase the distance between me and my technique, not make it closer and more accessible. So, yes.
See the rectum line, is that coming to the inside of the thigh or kind of in line with the
Inside of the thigh, right here. Like right here and right there. And back to my previous point, I aim there because often as they circle away, I aim here, and as he moves away, I catch the leg that more commonly seen as Uchimata. So I over-exaggerate a couple of things when I throw. I over-exaggerate my hands for the pull because I'm going to meet resistance with the hands and they're going to fall to a better place. Or if I try to pull here and I meet resistance and they pull here, it's not really good. So I always try to get my hands above my head when I pull because they're going to actuate here. And I always aim over here because most likely it's going to hit here. If I aim here and he steps out, right, I come here, right? So if my partner tries to throw me here, this is called a tsukashi, right? If someone tries to throw and hit your inner thigh and you sidestep, you can just execute the same motion of a throw with your hands and they will throw themselves, right? It's like a nice technique I like using. I like walk into it and wait for them to do and then just jump to the side very suddenly. And most people don't overshoot. They shoot for right here, so they miss completely and you just punish them with the hands. But that being said, like if you do want to shoot here, you can, right? But it may take a little bit more like jumping and finagling the technique, right? It's a little harder to like one-off it rather than going like a little bit deeper. So I want to just like see people like practicing this turn, gazushi, and lift for now. Any questions? Yeah, I'm actually going to use a taller person. So grip on the outside, right? Your partner just has like a nice, like a stance, like a dummy, right? We step across the center line, and then the middle, up with the hands, pull. Nice and easy over.
It won't work if they have a hand in the collar, will it? Will it work if they have a hand in the collar?
Yeah, it will. We may need to be like a little bit more sneaky with like our entries for it, particularly if you are not playing a left versus right situation. If we have like here and here, right, this is a little bit more difficult because in order to get to like my my throw, I have to turn like an extra like 15 degrees. So rather than starting in front and hitting this like, I don't know, what, 100-degree turn, I have like a 120-degree turn or something like that. And that like little bit extra just makes it that much more difficult, where we're already like trying to hit a nice technique. So my goal is to like move them to a point where like they are like coming into my power hand, right? So I'm trying to pull here, right, and get them to circle into my power hand, right? Or I can attack this lead leg to give myself the proper aim of entry, right? So there's like a couple different strategies we can employ. If you are like left versus right here, this is like probably the easiest to do it, right? Because you just step in. And you can actually do a cheat step rather than like 1, 2, 3. We can just do 1, 1, 2. Right? Kosei Inoue did that step really well. It's a very explosive step. I like using it a lot. But yeah, the setups and like all these like things are like super conditional on who you're facing and how they are playing the game. So I'm not trying to get like too bogged down in like the details of like situations and how we achieve throws from different gripping perspectives. I want to work with like focus on like the throwing mechanics and like you guys can like figure out the angles yourselves and like how to achieve like in judo we do something called uchikomi, right? They stand there like this, like they're a dummy, and we do like fit-ins. This is like part of our drilling. We just fit in with our forms. The hands come up. And this is like the first 2 parts of every technique. You break their balance, and you fit in, and rather than finishing, you just exit again, right? So part of my goal when I do judo is I want people to stand like they're like I'm doing uchikomi, right? I try and get them to like this square stance, right? So if he's like in this stance right here, left versus left, I'm going to come here, and now I have more of a square stance where I'm like, okay, this is like a little bit more common. Come in here, boom, right? Or like, yes, now this is like true uchikomi. I've done that a million times, right? So trying to figure out a way to get them to a place you recognize and are able to execute your throwing mechanics. Right? Any questions? No? I know I've monologued for a while, but let's get to it. 1, 2. I'm not so worried about like what technique we are technically doing. The amount of differences between all these techniques is literally so minuscule that people on the internet will argue incessantly about it, right? So it's like, oh, this is that, and another person's like, no, it's actually this, and it doesn't matter. You threw it, right? What it actually was a nice throw. So the throwing mechanics were there. So whether the leg comes to the outside and karai, or we bend our leg a little bit and turn a little bit more, and we do a hanigoshi, or we do an uchimata, right? It's all very similar, right? But it's all just about these like basic throwing mechanics. Okay. We're going to go back into the drill we were doing this morning. Throw, right? Or takedown, any kind. Leg grabs are allowed, so any kind of jiu-jitsu takedown you want, but no falling on someone, right, to take them down. So if you have their back, right, you can't sit down and pull them on top of you, right? You have to pressure them down in a proper way, right? Lift, return, or just pressure forward until we're able to take them down. No Tani Otoshi, no Kami Wasami, no jumping guard. Just takedown for takedown, following them to the ground, applying pressure once you're on the ground, turning away to form guard a lot of time. Like, yes, you can wrestle up, but if my partner like takes me down, right, and he comes down to the ground, right, I like turning away to having a better shot, right? And even if he takes me down and I turn away, right, I'm like saying it wasn't good, I'm right back to like a more guarded position. So I often like turning away for my like recoveries. So, yes.
Are you concerned with back to extend on that? Or is this just for drills you do that?
This is for drilling. This is like, turning away can be a very like tactical thing to do, right? Like if you are taken down, like double, right? If someone shoots a double on me and they take me down, right? I'm going to turn away, I'm going to fight this hand immediately, right? And now in this, right, I'm able to stand back up rather than like, okay, I'm going to concede, I got it, right? You can turn away and scramble up to the point where like they never really had control, right? So being able to utilize like turning away and exposing your back for a second, because sometimes people will see your back and just get way too excited, right? They're like, oh dude, turn his back to me, and they don't know what to do. They get a little too excited and they rush into position, forgetting that they don't have any hand control. They don't have any hooks, right? And you have hands, you're fighting, you're able to turn, face, come back up. I think it's an underutilized skill in jiu-jitsu, like learning how to turn away, right? Learning how to defend your back in a positive way, or just like expose it for a brief second to get to a different position. So we're just gonna try and like practice that skill, and it also is like very conducive to practicing takedowns, because if you stay on your back, you're just playing guard, right? You have to get back to your feet. What's the best way to get back to your feet, right? A tactic get up is like not really gonna work. Like if I'm playing guard and I'm trying to like get up like this, like no, he's just gonna push me back down every time. Like if I'm here, right? Yeah. Good luck keeping me down if I like run away, right? So you learn how to like tactically run away to enter the fray again. Okay? Yeah, that's good. Same drill. 1, 2.